Yeah, there we go. I hope the slides are visible now.
Yeah, we can see the slide. So over to you.
And that's the bridge you see. And I think Mr. Surendra Babu will talk a little bit more on that. But as Velco
Right.
has already told, it's a great, impressive achievement from our side. And BIM has been used on that a lot, and Bexel has also been part of it. With that,
Let me,
I will give it to Mr. PRS.
yeah, good day. Greetings from India. And as we say in our country, Namaste. So, I'm Surendra Babu, board member of CDCP, and having worked mostly in the EPC sector, in the construction sector, in one of the largest EPC companies in the country for close to 40 years. So our presentation will be in two parts. The first part is about the India story, which I will cover on, and I will then hand it over to Professor Venkata, who will be taking more into open BIM and other aspects. So welcome to India and welcome to the Indian story. So India is the fifth largest economy and the world largest democracy. So both these in combination, what it means is that Indian growth is fueled by the government policies and the private and the government agencies working in tandem. It's not a government sponsored growth, but it is a system where the policies are by the government and the private sector is able to take it forward and make many big things happen. And having a stable government and good governance is also contributing a lot. The third point is about the demography. We have the youngest population. The average age of India is only 30 years of age, and people are our assets. And Indian government is heavily into skilling and reskilling people so that we can achieve our goals. So already India is producing the largest number of engineers in the world, and India is the IT hub. And digital transaction is something which has penetrated, and we have people being able to do digital transaction even in the remote corners and the remote parts of the country and even in the small villages. To that extent, India contributes about 46% of the global share. So, Gati Shakti. So, Gati Shakti. So, So India is poised to spend heavily on transforming its infrastructures. The planners and the policy makers have rolled out a very robust policy and processes, technology, as well as people's involvement. So what you see in this slide is the key sectors on which there is heavy emphasis on roads, railways, transport, transmission line, renewable energy, and connectivity. So these are the sectors which are going to be working in tandem. So though they come under different ministries, there are plans and process in place. So all the different ministries will work in tandem. So a few hallmark projects which have which I can mention about as being the testimony of the development that has happened. Hallmark projects. So the first one is Chenab Bridge. I am listing these different projects for their uniqueness, for their magnitude, and for their complexity. The Chenab Bridge is the highest bridge if you take the height from the deck level to the bottom of the valley. So in this bridge, a lot of digital monitoring systems were employed. So since the construction had to be done from both sides of the valley, and we'll have to come to the point where at the crown, both the segments had to meet in the final piece. So for that, a lot of digital monitoring technologies and tools were used. The second one is the National Capital Rapid Transport System. So India has coming up with a plan to decongest the cities, which means for a distance of around 200 kilometers or so, 200 to 250 kilometers, we want to develop a high-speed train network so that people can live in their towns and cities and travel to the capital by rail. So in this particular project, the use of BIM and the use of monitoring system was mandated, and all the stakeholders and the designers, the construction teams were all linked with a central system by which all the data flow was totally digitized, and analog systems are not allowed as a mandate. The third one is the Bandra Worli Sea Link, which was but mentioned about. So, and I should say that there was a later project which was just completed. Since it is just completed, we didn't put it up. And that was a Trans-Harbour Sea Link of 21 kilometers across the sea. In that particular project, a lot of it had a lot of precast elements to be built. And the leader was used heavily for quality purposes and quality check purposes. So when you have thousands of elements, maintaining a inspection schedule was becoming difficult. So they were able to take drone shots and then monitor the quality of the concrete elements. So in case there are certain things to be addressed, like minor cracks which have to be verified and so on, the flow of data happened seamlessly. And the other most important thing I want to mention about this sea link, since there was a comment appreciating, this is one major sea link and many more are coming up. Mumbai, being the financial capital, is full of activity and very densely populated. But the thing about Mumbai is it's a peninsula, it's a piece of land jutting into the sea, which means there is heavy space restriction. So any amount of rail network, transport, and housing is not solving the problem. So the government decided that we will connect the main Mumbai to the mainland, and that is how these projects of sea links are coming up. So at various stages, we have sea links connecting the city of Mumbai to the mainland. The fourth project is the Parliament building, and attached to that, we have the Central Secretariat. This is the seat of democracy in India. This is where the sessions are conducted. And in the annexed Secretariat building, where all the government offices are located, a lot of scanning devices were used. So as against conventional system where we have a total station and then you check the levels, check the undulations and so on and so forth, we had employed more advanced scanning tools, which is able to very rapidly scan the entire surface and take out records of the various levels and report the undulations and differences very quickly. And that was used for not only monitoring the system, and the same data also was used to mark out the various places where the electrical systems and other MEP systems had to be fixed onto the wall. So you have a scan data and you have a system by which the locations where the actual equipment have to come is projected by the laser beam, taking data right from the Revit model. The fifth one is the Statue of Unity. Mr. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was one of the founding leaders when India got independence, and he was instrumental in integrating the various kingdoms in one country. And this is the tallest statue in the world as of today. So you have a concrete core and steel frame, but what you see wrapped around are all bronze castings. So the bronze elements, thousands of them, had to be cast intricately to various shapes, and you had to have a system where the data from the drawing data from the CAD files and other digital platform is directly transferred to the location where the actual casting is done. So this is one other system. So I have sort of addressed and listed various projects, each of which unique in different systems. One is a bridge, one is a railway network, other is a building, and other one is an iconic statue. And the different technologies were used, but the underlying thing is we had heavily deployed digital technologies, without which I think construction couldn't have been done at such fast pace and so on. So the last style is the Jewar Airport, which is slated to become the biggest airport in the world after many phases of construction. So we are holding our breath and seeing to where it will take us to. So from there, I will just move on to CDCP India. So at the beginning of this decade, some like-minded professionals, retired personnel, and people of various backgrounds got together and decided that we'll form a society where we'll be able to promote digitally enabled processes and technologies in India, and especially focusing on the construction industry. So we have a wide spectrum of people. There are architects, there are practitioners, there are policy makers, advisors to the government, and also retired personnel who want to contribute. So these all of us got together and formed this society as a not-for-profit society, and we are spread across the country geographically. We have been able to conduct national events. We have been able to conduct seminars. We are able to add. In this context, we struck a chord with buildingSMART. So where we could see that we are also working on a similar mission and so on and so forth. So this collaboration, I am very sure, is going to take us forward to bigger heights. And a leadership which we have cumulative experience of 200 man years, and we have the main board and also the advisory board, and we have other subgroups like the executive board and so on and so forth. And over a period of time, we have now come to a robust location. Now, going forward, we had also seen that the India is developing certain standards to see that digital construction and the allied things are done properly. There is a uniform method of practice and so on. Since it's a large country with different entities and different companies and the numbers are large, we require a guidance document. And the Bureau of Indian Standards is working towards that. And we have three of us from our CDCP who are working group members and panel members. And with our participation, we are wish and we are also confident that we will drive this process in the right direction. And OpenBIM is a very important part of what this guidance document is going to be. So the Indian Bureau of Indian Standards is heavily focusing on making OpenBIM as part of the codal practice. So with this, I will hand it over to my friend, Professor Venkata.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me just take over from there. I'll just list down what are we we take up from the OpenBIM concept, and what we see in India is that it's being taken up like the usual Indian story that you have the government, the Niti Aayog here, or the other government agency at a policy level trying to understand how we can push towards OpenBIM, but there are also certain startup spaces, companies which are also trying to adopt OpenBIM processes and IFC-based frameworks into the market. So you have an organic evolution of OpenBIM being adopted, and also we can see the push from the government in terms of moving towards OpenBIM standards, etc. For example, this is a pilot, project where open IFC-based models are now being mandated to be submitted in the city level permission granting agencies from the municipalities and local bodies, and that entire exercise they are trying to kind of put it on IFC-based frameworks. So essentially, that's the kind of OpenBIM momentum which we are seeing in the country, and therefore I think it was a very crucial and a very important step when CDCP had got associated with buildingSMART, and this was when we have formed the buildingSMART India Developing Chapter, and we have taken a few initiatives from there onwards. So I'll just briefly present what are some of the initiatives we presented, we conducted over the last few months after we became this development chapter. So the first and foremost thing is we wanted to create this awareness. So this is where we kind of announce our identity as Building Smart India chapter to various on an international forum. And what we also did was to encourage the community participation. We started identifying BIM heroes in India in partnership with the BIM Coordinator Summit in Ireland. On the other hand, we are also partnering on a knowledge perspective with the government. So that's the Ministry of Roads and Surface Transport, Mr. Nitin Gadkari ji, who has actually unveiled this digital twin strategy, and the CDCP, and you can see them as knowledge partner, and Building Smart India therefore have become a very crucial player in terms of extending our knowledge towards this strategy for Indian infrastructure. So that put us on the map. And then we wanted to kind of unveil this India strategy for inclusive infrastructure digitalization. And it's a nomenclature which we wanted to do in order to bring the awareness of democratization of data, especially through the open BIM and frameworks. And this has been also unveiled by the Building Smart and CDCP, Building Smart India and CDCP in these events. And a major thing about this is the Inspire community, and we wanted to build a brand surrounding the Building Smart, Building Smart India and the Open BIM frameworks. So the important thing what we did was to launch our flagship event. This happened last year in November, where we had this Digital Build India 2023, and I'm happy to say that this has a tremendous participation, supported by a number of partners and sponsors, and it has good participation from various sectors of the construction industry in the country, including the National Skill Development Corporation, from the government, and academia, and the construction partners, etc. So you can see all different kinds of partners being part of this event, and it has been a huge success, and a lot of momentum has come through this event. Then what we also did was on the lines of this Digital Build India, we also started creating this knowledge and awareness kind of sessions. So this is an Open BIM masterclass thanks to Casey from Building Smart UK and Mark from ESRI. We actually conducted a session to bring awareness of IFC and Open BIM masterclass at the University IIT Bombay, where I am also a faculty, and it was very well received. Then what we did was also kind of take engage the community on a continuous fashion. The annual events are good. So what we did was we kind of took this a little bit more spread across. We had conducted a number of virtual events where presenters who have used BIM in an exemplary manner, we celebrated their things, and we had an open mic session which was dedicated to BIM consultants and service providers to air what were some of the issues when they kind of implement BIM on projects. It's kind of that momentum gaining experience which we did, and it established a very, very interesting forum of all these experts and enthusiasts of BIM in the country. So we had presentations from NCRPC, which Mr. PRS was talking about a little bit earlier, and this was a government-run organization. We had events by Mr. Sandeep Desai, who is again part of AFCONS, which is a big private player in the country. So we had a mix of all these players and stakeholders who come and present the BIM story from their own perspectives. Then because of the very good kind of response to our Digital Build India last year, we also started off on these extension events where we went more regional, where we went into to the local kind of events. So where we started talking to the community at a much more regional level than at a national level. So this is one of the event which we started off. This just happened about a month back, about a week back in Chennai. This is the first of these events, and there was a very good response during this time. And the government, the Metro Rail Corporation, etc. As the other forms in the event, and then we were also part of a number of policy making forums during the last year. So this is the India Infra for 2047, where the Building Smart India and CDCP India were actually invited, and we had a very good session on how to take forward the infra policy, especially from a digitalization perspective, from an open BIM perspective, in order to meet our demands in the medium future. And this also has good participation from the policy making bodies, and also from the international development agencies which were part of this thing. This happened in January 2024. Now, on the other hand, we are also kind of extending our arm towards universities, where we were trying to reach out to a lot of universities. A number of awareness sessions have been conducted in that perspective as well. And in future also, we had a number of things which we have planned out, which we will continue to do this. Now, the important thing what we also did during this time was to launch our membership program, and the initial initial set of market demand and also the responses were very encouraging in this. We have a few organizations which are very interested in kind of becoming on board the Building Smart India, which will take this much further. So we have this framework in place now. Pretty soon we'll onboard a very good, a number of people in this direction. Then what we also did was we are signing with MOUs with a number of professional and international bodies. This is one of the MOUs which we signed with Council of Architecture in India. We also signed an MOU with the universities, like for example, IIT Bombay. We have an MOU in place. We are in talks with a number of other organizations like CII, which is the Council of Indian Industry, and Council of Real Estate Development, CREDA, etc. And the MOUs would soon be in place. So what we saw was in the last, we had developed a lot of momentum. What we saw is we have developed good relationships with different organizations. You see a lot of construction companies which we developed, software developers, platform providers, which we took. Some of the training partners are on board, and then we also have with communities like Confederation of Indian Industry, C Tribe, and as rightly pointed out by our the other chapter as well. So we are kind of looking at how do we build up this consensus and synergetic way in which we can really take it forward, and therefore we tend to collaborate with all these agencies, and we have the bigger universities on board, so that we have the academy also on our side. So in terms of certification, we PCERT programs, we have the initial market survey and demand done. Based on that, we have done a strategy for the launch of that program, and we are working with Building Smart to set up the platform, and pretty soon we will launch the PCERT program in the country. The foundation, the foundation course is the flagship which we will launch. But the introduction, the normal entry level certification, there are already a number of people who are actually taking up that certification from the Building Smart website. So coming to the website, recently we also have in place the Building Smart India website. We are going to develop this further and make it much more functional with with links to the PSERT and other kind of initiatives of Building Smart India. So with that, let me just welcome you all to the next flagship program, which we are hosting in November 2024. This will be the Digital Build India 2024, while 2023 is about awareness creation. 2024 is about getting the momentum going and really announcing what is it that we are going to do in the near future. And I would like all of you, whether it is from Building Smart International or any of these chapters, please let us know and we'll be very happy to host you at this event. With that, I would thank you and I will give it back to question and answers. Maybe.